So a few days ago, Tarsier Studio uploaded the first teaser image for the upcoming DLC for REANIMAL. Now, I already gave my thoughts, theories, and opinions on that previous image, but today they uploaded a second one, which at first glance doesn't seem to have quite as much in there, it doesn't seem to have as much that you can theorize over, but after taking a closer look, I think this new one has an even bigger clue than the last. So the last image was the horse, and I gave my thoughts and opinions about that one. Lots of people have been speculating the horse could be referencing the Horseman of the Apocalypse, but I also talked in that video about how I think that horse was a reference to the horse that we found in a secret room in the main game. I'm not going to rehash that entire video, but basically you could find this secret room in the main game that had a horse strapped into an MRI machine, and my main theory was that this horse was supposed to tell us that the humans of this world knew something was going on with the animals, and they were investigating it before society collapsed. It's pretty clear that this world has had its own sort of apocalypse, and I do think that the humans were trying to stop it at one point, although by now, pretty much everyone's gone and all that's left are, well, these. But while that previous image was very interesting, the horse had a lot that you could think about, especially considering that animals in this series are obviously very, very important to the story. This new one didn't seem to show all that much. We can see that this one shows a devastated area with the title "Desolation is all that remains," which is not something that seems to be that interesting considering that we already saw a full-on war zone in the main game. We've seen these areas be devastated like this. This is really sort of nothing new. Except, the more that I thought about it, the more I think this also relates to a secret room from the main game, which is very interesting considering the link to the other one, and it all kind of comes together. So looking at this image, it's very clear that this area has been bombed or shelled. Now, we know from the main game that there is still a war ravaging on, and I gave my theory in the last video that I think this war is continuing indefinitely because the people are reanimating just like the animals are in this world. But this area seems to be even more devastated than the no man's land we found in the main game. Now, this area does kind of look similar to the area where we fight the sheep in the tank, so is this proof that the DLC is going to take place after the main game? I'm not entirely sure. Now, it's very clear that whatever has hit this place must be huge, and this made me think we've actually seen something that could have caused this in the main game. If you go back to the main game towards the end, you can find this hidden bunker. You need to go down here to get one of the collectibles, but the really interesting thing about this room is that it is filled with these absolutely giant shells. Now, as far as I know, I'm not a military expert, but as far as I know, nothing in our world has shells this big. Alright, so I went and looked this up, and apparently the biggest artillery gun ever made was the Schwerer Gustav. I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. But this gun was so big that it had to be moved around on railways that were specially made for it, and that fired massive 800mm shells, and even those aren't as big as the ones we find in this game, so these shells seem obnoxiously large. And I also talked about the idea that you can find these in this room behind this door, which looks very similar to the door we find right near the beginning of the game, implying that there are stockpiles of these shells all around this place. Now, this kind of ties into my current theory. The more that I theorize about this game, the more that I think about it, the more I'm starting to lean towards the idea that this world, this apocalypse, is a result of the humans just completely destroying the planet. Obviously, Tarsier games, you can interpret them however you want, but I really like the idea that this planet is balancing the scales because of how badly the humans have been treating it. I think you could interpret the word reanimal, obviously it means reanimate, but also I think it could mean that the world is letting the animals retake over. The animals seem to be growing, mutating, and becoming more intelligent, whereas the humans seem to be devolving. I like the idea that Mother Nature is causing this as a response to the damage that humans are causing to the planet. Those weird oily spirits that we saw at the end of the true ending could be the planet's answer to the devastation that these humans are causing. So alright, we now have two teaser images, and both of them potentially link to secret rooms we found in the main game. So, is there anything else here? Anything else we can maybe theorize over? Well, I'm glad you asked, because yes, there is. I kind of stumbled across something really, really weird, and it's a triangle. Bear with me. So while I was looking into this, I completely forgot that we'd actually seen the horse before. Before the main game even launched, we were given this image, which was a concept art for the first upcoming DLC. Now, it showed the horse, which now we know is going to be important, which makes sense. And we also see this house which is on fire, which I guess could be related to this image. It could be the bomb going off or the shells being shot, whatever it is. That could be affecting that place too. Maybe there's a link there. But what's really, really interesting is there is one tiny detail in this image that I have never really noticed until right now, and it's this sign with a triangle on it. Why is this sign important? Well, if you remember back in the beginning of the game, there was this TV screen that you could turn on. And when you turn it on, it shows this ring of rabbits. You can actually find this in the demo, and then we also saw it in the main game as well. Now, this ring of rabbits, I think personally, is supposed to represent the well. We know the well is now important because the children sacrificed to the girl, and then the girl was lying at the bottom of the well while she reanimated and came back to life. I think this shot specifically and this ring of rabbits is supposed to represent what the girl can see as she's laying there dead, reanimating, coming back to life. It's kind of like The Ring. If you've ever watched The Ring, it's kind of like that a little bit. But I do think that's what that's supposed to represent. We also saw this one again in the theater as well. We see this ring a couple of times throughout the game. But that's not the really interesting thing. You can see another channel on this TV, which is this weird triangle shape. I could only find this after I got the true ending. I don't know if this only appears once you've got the true ending and you can go back and find it, or if I just missed it on my first playthrough, but I never managed to see this until I played this game after I finished the true ending. Once I did that, you can go back and you can press this button and it turns it into this weird maze-like triangle shape. Now, why that's really interesting is because that triangle kind of matches the one here. Like there's a stop sign with a triangle on it. Doesn't really make any sense. So now that's two triangles that we have. And if you want a third one, we can even find this triangle in this image made out of barbed wire. So it seems like this triangle is really important for some reason, and I'm now wondering if we're going to see a teaser to this TV screen or maybe to this triangle in a future upcoming teaser image. What does this triangle mean? Dunno, but I'm sure we're going to find out more considering that it's been teased in both the DLC promotional art and in the main game for some reason. So yeah, it was just like a little weird coincidence thing that I found. I think it's very interesting, and we are definitely going to be getting the DLC within the next 8 weeks. I know I said 4 weeks in my previous video. I forgot. We have August and September. I forget how months work, okay? What am I, like a theorist or something? I don't know. But yeah, we should be getting the DLC within the next 8 weeks, and I'm sure we'll probably get a trailer before then, and you know I'm going to break that down and look for the secrets. I'm very excited for this DLC. Can you tell? I don't know, maybe you can. Anyway, let me know what you think. Am I onto something? Did I miss any triangles in the game? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.